Okay. Thank you, guys. It's a pleasure to be with you all here. Thanks to those who organized this gathering together, to everybody that's working with the Palestinian people in solidarity with the Palestinian people. Thank you all for coming to hear us today. I see a lot of solidarity today in the many European streets, and here in Italy there are a lot of solidarity, and it's growing among students in the streets and cafes, in cinemas, and this is very important. And I want to tell the people to keep on. And I feel like a lot of people feeling that we are not. There's no good results for our work yet, that we are very disappointed despite all what we are doing. I continue filming, even I made a film that won the Oscar. I continue to document, and our daily life, it's only getting worse and worse than it was. And it's actually today we're facing like double of what you saw in the documentary No Other Land. uh, it's very hard to talk about hope at this time. It's very hard to be uh, positive about the future. Doesn't seem it's promising with all what's going on. But I remind always myself and everybody that talks to me, and very disappointed that okay, there is no hope, and it's very hard to talk about hope. But giving up is not a choice for us. We cannot give up. We should keep fighting. I want to tell a small story. In January, a group of masked settlers invaded one of Masafiriata villages, a small village, and hide it next to somebody home in the morning, and they start to make a noise. He thought that they are coming to steal his donkey. He's like a 73-year-old man. He went out of his house to check if they came to steal his donkey. He went around. He didn't see anybody. Like to the direction he were looking. At certain point, he turned his face, and they stand up behind rocks with metal sticks, and they start hitting him in his head, and he falls down on the ground. And then he was bleeding from his head. The settlers ran back to the outpost. He walked hardly to his home. He was just like 30 meters away from his home, waking up the family. It was like around 3 in the morning. He was hospitalized, and his situation was very critical. He was taken to the ICU. Is in very dangerous situation, because the blood leaked to his brain. He was in really critical situation, and he was for a few days at the ICU at the hospital in the city. And when they released him, they asked him to rest, to have a rest at home. And I was driving him back home to talk to a journalist about what happened to him. And because I have a lot of thoughts in my mind, a lot of thinking about the situation and how depressed and how the situation arrived. And he said to me, I want to go back to sit with my grandchildren. Is the best. I don't want to go to the city because settlers are hitting and attacking to steal the land. And he say, I don't want, as a doctor asked me to go back to a city or go rest. I want to go back to my home. I want to see my grandchildren. It's the best to be with them. I only, when I will die, I will leave this land. And for me, this was a lesson to hear what he said, and to tell myself that I have no excuse to think like a negative way, that I have to continue fighting. I have a responsibility to stay with my people. If a 70-year-old person telling this and going back to his land and want to fight and to steadfastness in his land, then all of us should do the same thing and should continue fighting. And there is, to be honest, in these stories, that people after suffering, after they got brutally attacked, like last month, our neighbor also, 60-year-old, the settlers like trying to really to push him very hard out of his home. He's very close to an illegal outpost they were created near his land. They brought more caravans close toward his house. They closed the road in front of him. Him and his children can't drive like before, and can't use the road with his tractor or motorcycle that he has to to use the road. They were blocking him and then preventing him to use his land. And then even one day, the settlers brought a generator with a drill, start to dig his land, and the settlers start to work in his land. Like they destroyed with a bulldozer all his olive trees or his fence, the gate of the land. They destroyed it at the night with a bulldozer. In the morning, settlers came and started to dig in his land. And then him and his 15-year-old son went to try to stop the settlers from continue working in the land. One of the settlers choked his son from the neck and put him on the ground. And when he tried to hold his son from the settler, another settler take him, this old man, back and shot him directly in the leg. Then they let him on the ground to bleeding for 40 minutes. They prevent all of us to get close to him or to take him to a hospital. His son were like abducted by the soldiers, and then they took him in ambulance, but as arrested. So they handcuffed him, they arrested him, and took him to a hospital. And when he reached the hospital late, they said the only solution can happen is to cut his leg. Then his 15-year-old son and him were brought in front of a court. He was handcuffed on the bed and with cutted leg on the Zoom with a military judge. And he's like 15-year-old boy as well. He was in the prison, also on Zoom doing a court. And they were forced to pay a bill of 5,000 shekel each one to go out. There was a video for sure documented this attack by the daughter of this old man, and even though they still deny it, the Israeli police, because you would hear politicians would say like, why you don't call the police, why you don't call the army, but this is an example, and we have many examples that showing this settlers attacks is not happening just because of this extremist tyrant settlers, but it's a strategy, a state strategy actually. And settlers, police, army, all are arms for one project, and they all having each one doing their turn. We have the video, the name of the settler, the shooter. We have the evidence of him shooting, but still the one that was charged is the Palestinian who got shot and his son. And 2 years ago, I filmed in a very horrific video a settler backed with one soldier shooting my cousin from one step. He shot him in the stomach, and that crime was also documented. And it was like it's the scene in the documentary. And these are not isolated examples. These are the better and the best examples to show how impunity these settlers have. And when these videos actually are posted, and the settlers know that there's no consequences and there's no punishments, it just encourages more and more settlers to commit more and more crimes. And unfortunately, in the world, still those who claim that this is like the official army and official police and the settlers is different thing. And when they want to criticize Israel, it's about the settlers' violence, it's about the right-wing government. It's not true. For us, the Palestinians, and we have so much evidence, they're all the same. I know many cops in the Israeli police are coming from illegal outposts. They're just settlers in a police uniform. And there are many soldiers, the same thing. Not just that, the whole ideology of these settlers, police, soldiers, is to kick us out of our land. The police there and the army is just to do things that the settlers can't do. And the settlers there, for example, she spoke about like Naples, about Jenin, where Israeli military is damaging homes and burning homes and ethnic cleansing people out of their homes under pretext that there is armed resistance. For example, in Hawara, in Turmusaya, there is no armed resistance and there is no excuses. So they sent these gang settlers to burn people's homes and to shoot them. So at the end of the day, is one action done by one people against us. And yeah, today is really getting worse and worse since like 20 months. And today with the Iran attack, I don't know, in somehow, always we have to pay a price. It's all the West Bank is blocked. Like from the morning, they attacked Iran. Bulldozers or soldiers start to go all around the West Bank, blocking all roads in front of Palestinians, Palestinian cars, even Palestinians who walking. And more dangerous today, it's happening that the Israeli soldiers, when there is sirens or before sirens, when they are expecting there is like a rockets coming from Iran, they leave their military bases and they go to Palestinians' houses. They kick families out of their home, and soldiers hide and stay in Palestinian buildings. It's happening all over the West Bank, wherever they have military bases. When they expect like rockets, they move out from them and they're going to Palestinians' houses after like kicking families out. And again, like all what's happening, there is a certain plan, and they're always talking about it, and they're proudly like discuss it on their TV channels. The Israeli ministers about the annexation of the West Bank, the ethnic cleansing of Palestinian people in the West Bank as well, also in Gaza. So they know when there are when the attention is somewhere else in the world, like now, they move faster and move more forward to build more settlements and outposts and attack more Palestinian villages, burn more Palestinian villages to kick us out of our land. So they are like, they use this momentum of like the attention is somewhere else in the world to fast change facts on the ground. They know that maybe the EU will come with some criticism publicly, but they know that there will be no actions, no consequences to their actions. So they always, since Corona and before that, like since Corona, they start more and more of ethnic cleansing Palestinians from Area C, and always it's increasing. And now it's really happening in very high numbers. I met some European diplomats, politicians to talk about the situation there, and the very disgusting thing that I keep here and make me more disappointed than the situation I live in is, first thing, they want to tell me that it's the US, it's Trump, and they want to in somehow to get themselves out of the responsibility, which is very false. And more disgusting thing, they also tells me, I speak to them as a people who suppose, or they claim that they protecting international law and they care about human values, and they tell me, this subject is make a division in Europe because of the history. So what, you're using the suffering of a historical nation to now make us pay the price, or you want to us to pay for your guilt while you are silent for these crimes? If there is a hope for this to end and this suffering to finish, it's only would come from outside, from Europe and from the US. We know US now with Trump or even with the Democrats is very crazy. But here people have a lot of responsibility, because this is your foreign policy, this is your money, these weapons coming from you. Not just that. The crazy thing is still that plants or products that made on factories that built on our stolen land, vegetables, fruits that planted on our stolen land by these terrorist suckers are still sold in your markets by the law. The law still in Europe allow these products to come here and to be sold to the people here. These are small actions that long time ago it should happen, but until now nothing happenings. Like they are not taking very small amount in the settlers that burning our villages, that committing all these attacks, soldiers who's committing the genocide, who's proudly filming their faces like burning Palestinians' homes, and they're not hiding. They're just telling the world how proud they are, like committing this genocide and these crimes. You know, your airports are still open for them, your countries, your markets. They can come here as a vacation and go back to continue commit crimes against us. Even more like activists who come on to be with us on the ground here from Italy, from Germany, from other European countries. In Masafriata, many activists that come there, and many of them have been illegally arrested by Israeli police and immorally like harassed by soldiers and police and forcibly deported from the airport. And still you would see your governments doing nothing about this. And Israelis, these settler soldiers are welcomed here with no visa. They can just land it and freely like go around here. So for example, another subject like the school that you saw was destroyed in the movie, and most of the houses you saw that was destroyed, most of this is these projects are funded by the EU. And like the EU is giving us money to build these humanitarian projects, and they call it a humanitarian projects, houses, water pipes, solar panels for the minimum electricity, schools. But we tell them why you're not saying, why you're not doing anything when Israel is destroying this. This is your money, this is your projects, and if you believe in it and you're giving us this amount of money, so why you just so silent when Israel is damaging them? I'm saying the reality. I know that people would hear this will be very disappointed. We're all disappointed, but I'm telling this that we have long way in front of us and we should not give up, and we should continue thinking in creative way how to grow and to affect and how to change these policies. We are not asking for a war. We don't ask for weapons like Ukraine. Just if you put half of the sanctions you put on Putin, this can be solid. Thank you again.